Hi, my name's Chase, and we're here at Fort Steele Heritage Town in the building that's going to be my residence for the next 12 hours. I'm going to spend the evening in here, light this wood stove and cook some stew on it, possibly in the morning go down for a little dip in the river to cool off, and maybe pan for some gold, after, of course, having my coffee. So, why don't we get started and light my fire? Now that the pot is nice and hot and the fire is roaring, we're first going to start with our meat. This is some nice beef that's been chopped up into stewing cubes. We're going to let that simmer so that it can get nice and seared and have a little bit more flavor in the final stew. Then add some pepper, just for a little bit of spice and a little bit better flavor. That's good. Now that the beef is nice and seared and we have a little bit of beef juice in there going, we can finally add our vegetables. So here I have some potatoes, carrots, celery, and some onions underneath it. And then give it a nice stir. Now that I got all the veggies in the pot, I'm going to add some beef broth. This is quite a key component in stew. There's all the beef broth. Now that the broth's in, I'm going to add some crushed tomatoes. This will give the stew a little bit more of a sweet kind of taste and also make it a little bit red. Then finally, some fresh ground black pepper. Now that we have it all stirred together, I'm going to adjust my fire so that it's not too hot, but it's just warm enough to allow it to simmer. And I will let it simmer for an hour, 2 hours until it gets nice and reduced and all the flavors get to soak into each other. So, grabbing my lid, see you in a little bit. Now that the soup has been simmering for quite some time now, everything has gotten nice and cooked. Oh yeah, nice and steamy. However, it is quite liquidy, so since it's late in the evening and I'm not quite that hungry, I'm going to let this simmer overnight so that it can reduce more and not be as liquidy and resemble more of a stew tomorrow morning and have a nice hearty breakfast. Well, it's getting quite late out, and since I've decided to let my stew reduce and simmer overnight, I've changed my stove so it's a little bit more manageable and not as hot throughout the evening as I sleep. Well, I think it's time to go to bed in a ghost town. So, good night everyone, and I hope I'll see you in the morning.
Well, I had a terrible sleep. My fire went out last night, so the stew is a little bit cold, so I'm gonna have to get that back going and get it a bit warm so I can have a nice brunch, I suppose. But first,
Well, now that I've had my morning coffee and gone down to the river to freshen myself up, we did a little bit of gold panning down there, but weren't very successful. The stew has had time to thicken up and all the flavors have blended together, hopefully quite nicely, but let's find out. That was worth the 12-hour wait. Thank you for joining me overnight in the gold cabin. It was quite an experience, but if you don't mind, I'm gonna get back to my lunch.